activity was interesting.
When we came here to France 24 and asked, well, we want to see, how do we see? The obvious answer is we watch it on the internet, of course, because it's there. It's there for everyone. It doesn't matter if we're in Saudi Arabia or Hong Kong or Cape Town. We will watch it on the web, and it's
Roger,
only natural.
could you send your question in 2 parts, please? Apparently there's only space for about 15 words on my phone. The question was, how does Netocracy apply in a post-capitalist? I don't know the rest, so...
Okay, well, let's explain what we mean with capitalism. Sometimes you regret that you use certain words in your works, but then you realize you use them, so you have to live with them. The original meaning of the word capitalism is not an economic system. By the way, we don't believe that there are economic systems. We just believe that there's economy. An economy can be badly or well executed. If it's well executed, you have a certain infrastructure that controls certain mechanisms, and then you have a flow in between. That's well-run economy. So we believe the economy exists. We do not believe that capitalism exists as an economic system. The historical use of the word capitalism originates from the Latin word caput, meaning head. Capitalism is the idea that society is a body, and the body is controlled by a head. And the head knows what's going on in the body and thereby controls it. For example, there's a city called Paris. Paris is the capital of a country called France. France consists of Paris and the surrounding countryside, which is controlled from Paris. The nation state is a typical metaphor for the capitalist society. And capitalism began to happen already in France in the 14th century, even before the printing press. But we claim that the printing press was the technology that was needed to create the modern nation state. Urban society. Everything that we know as a modern society is really a direct consequence of the printing press. That was the most dramatic technological innovation before the internet arrived. That was 500 years ago. And we're now seeing the same kind of drama happening again, because the internet has the same sort of profound implications for the human condition as the printing press did. That is what capitalism is. It's an historical paradigm between feudalism and information society that existed for about 500 years, began in France, interestingly, in the 15th century, and then developed and really kicked in the 19th century at its peak. And then eventually in the 20th century, with the arrival of postmodernism, we started to question the truth of the capitalist society, and eventually the interactive technologies arrived and really took.
So, to avoid confusion, when we talk about post-capitalist society, people ask us, well, does that mean that factories will disappear, no one will use money? No, of course not. It's just like farms or cattle didn't disappear after feudalism. It just means that you enter a new phase where old functions and old concepts get new definitions. So
and they're also less important. Money was the most important thing in society 100 years ago. That's why lazy old sociologists still measure money, how much money you have, as to divide which social group you belong to. That's traditional sociology. We're saying that money is now maybe number 8 on the list of important things in life. Food is maybe number 15. And there are other things in the other 13 places in between there that are more important to people today. And the number one thing, if you ask 17-year-olds today around the world who still have dreams about their lives, still think everything is possible, 17 years old, and they're still not naive, they will always list media as number 1. Where you place yourself in relation to media, who are you as a media personality, is the most important question to them. So anybody who can give them a sort of a position in the media or society is somebody they will give away something to as well. And that is how interactivity starts. Interactivity, the motor of interactivity, is that I want to socialize with the people on the internet who can make me a media personality and give me strength as a media personality. They're the people I want to be connected with. And they want to be connected with me because I can give them that kind of strength.
And it used to be like you could motivate people with money only. You could have someone work under lousy conditions as long as you pay them well. But these days you can have people working for almost no money if it's stimulating, if you get connected to the right people and they get the feeling that they contribute something important. They will work for no money.
We're going to take a question now from Sophia, and then after that I'm going to open it up a little bit. This is feeling much too old media. We're sitting here and it's me, the journalist, talking, it's our interview subject responding. It's feeling
We're
very
doing
old media.
transitional today.
Yeah.
Exactly, we're trying to make the
Between all the new media.
This is a transitional moment, but we're going to start with a quick question from Sophia. Sophia, also let us know where you're writing from, also how you're watching, if we're on Catch or Bamboozle. It's just for our statistical studies of this experiment. But Sophia asks, Web 3.0, you must be asked this, but what will Web 3.0?
That's a technological question. We don't do technology.
This is really not our area of expertise. There must be 2,000 people
Ask
better
an engineer at
qualified.
Nokia or something. What we do, just to let people know, what we do is we study what people are doing with their tools. So we have the benefit that we can step in when people already have a mobile phone or a broadband connected laptop in their hand, and we study what they do with them then. We don't really study the tool stuff. We're not technologists, and we're very strict about what we do and what we don't do.
And the people that build the tools look the people and look what they do, and then build the tool. So,
Or sometimes they just build the tool.
Yeah, and you don't know.
They don't know why you're going to use them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you discover that after.
Very often. I mean, Gutenberg, for God's sake, Gutenberg invented the printing press because he wanted all of Europe to be good Catholics. What happened? The printing press caused the Protestant Revolution, and half of Europe left the Catholic Church. He had never predicted that, and if he'd known that, he probably stopped making the printing press and then it turned out to be the exact opposite of his intention. And this is the great thing about technology, is that we have to respect the fact technology does what it does to us in our society, and we can't really control it.
So just like one kind of Marxist question, you think when you said technology is doing what technology is doing, and we just have to study after or look at how it's changing, do you think like technology is now the main maker of society?
It always was.
It always was. Our theory is that it always was. Because language is technology. So the question is, when we divide history into 4 different paradigms, we're really looking at language. So the first paradigm is spoken language. What differentiates us from the apes? That's what makes us human. We talk. And because we talk, we can also think, which is basically talking to ourselves. Spoken language. The second paradigm is written language. The arrival of written language changed the basic conditions for human society. It made, for example, permanent settlements possible. And that started in Mesopotamia about 10,000 years ago, that development. Then the third paradigm is printed language, which is what the printing press did. That started in Germany, but was most widely used in France about 500 years ago. So France is more or less the home country of that revolution, of the revolution of printed language. And we're now moving into interactive language, which is the fourth paradigm.
Where we are not the country of it.
No.
But you're the language of blogging.
You can catch up.
You are actually involved. You're involved. And it doesn't really matter where things start as well. The fact that feudalism started in Mesopotamia, but Mesopotamia never became the country that really benefited from that revolution. It probably was Europe that did eventually anyway. So where something starts doesn't necessarily say where it's going to end up.
No, so
but where you embrace it.
Where you embrace it, yeah. And California was the home of the interactive revolution. It started, we date it to the 1970s, because the first widespread use of the internet outside of the American military was in California in the 1970s. And that's also where we actually had the first theory of what computers being connected to each other could do to society. So the theories that we are exposing today are really theories that have their foundation in America in the 1970s.
And this definition of technology is really important. I mean, if you study what you actually can do with spoken language that you couldn't do before, is you could really outsource all these memory-consuming information into the world. It's a technology that allows you to use the world in a smarter way.
Yeah. That's something I love, which is you can forget. You always know the past.
You know what? We're using less of the human brain now than we did 10,000 years ago.
We
use about 30% less of the human brain, simply because we don't have to store so much information inside the brain. That was absolutely necessary for survival in nomadic society.